Kennedy Space Center, you may have spent time reflecting at this massive monument. It pays tribute to NASA's fallen heroes.
24 names are listed, including at least one who died before he could even make it to outer space. Channel 9's Nancy Alvarez found out how that man's family is continuing his legacy long after his death.
They are the lost heroes of America's space program. Columbia, Challenger, Apollo 1. Their families across decades brought together in tragedy. And while the price these families paid is memorialized here, for many of them, the journey to the Space Coast actually began thousands of miles away in the desert. They had what was called the right stuff. Pilots from all branches of the military testing the limits of their equipment and themselves converged on Edwards Air Force Base. One of them, with the training and knowledge to make it to space, was Air Force test pilot Michael Adams.
He was a good pilot. He had the opportunity to do with NASA, the X-15. He jumped right on it.
Adams was a career war veteran. Flying airplanes was his life.
Over at Edwards is where most of the test pilots and all were. Chuck Yeager is a good friend, actually.
The training was intense.
He graduated first in his class above Neil Armstrong, all of the guys in the class. He was top. And they were choosing astronauts for the Apollo.
He was on his way, but on the day in 1967 that he was to join that most elite fraternity of aviation,
he was going to obtain his astronaut wings, and so his mother and my mom were out there that day on the tarmac.
The mission went terribly wrong.
The failings of that particular flight, which was 3 or 4 things where it was going to be a crash. They're not sure why he didn't eject. They said that his style was to save the craft. Well, it kind of pancaked in.
50 years later, Brent Adams recalls the day he lost his father.
I was in the 4th grade, and I just remember one of my neighbors coming and getting us out of school. They took us home, and that was it.
His mother broke the news.
She just told us, your father had been in a wreck, a crash, I said, all I said was, is he dead? And she said, yeah.
Adams' crash was the first in-flight casualty of America's space program, already reeling from the Apollo 1 tragedy earlier that year. He was awarded his wings posthumously, becoming NASA's 27th astronaut. In time, Brent's mother would move the family back to her hometown of Monroe, Louisiana, where his father is buried. But for Brent, there are questions still unanswered.
I wonder where I'd be today if he hadn't gotten killed. Who knows what he would be doing?
Michael Adams never made it to the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center.
It's like an awesome thought that, if he could have made it there. This is nothing but rockets and technically it's space.
Thank you for going Rocket Lube.
Today, Adam runs a successful business in Monroe dedicated to his father, as well as other NASA heroes.
I'm the owner of Rocket Lube and Car Wash.
When customers walk in, they come face to face with Adam's connection to his past and the inspiration it still gives him.
He was dedicated to flying and to the military. Whatever he contributed, it was well worth it.
Liftoff of Space Shuttle Discovery.
The space shuttle, the X-15 paved the way for that.
An inspiration he shares in his community.
He was a space pioneer. He dedicated his life to it and lost it.
And NASA's.
He's remembered for what he did. It's reflected in the sky for what he loved to do.
Nancy Alvarez, Channel 9.